I want to start this off by telling a story. Back in 2017, I left the country for the first time to go play basketball in Girona, Spain. When I got to the airport and I get out the car, I'm getting dropped off. I hug my mom, I dap my brother up, and I walk straight into the airport. By the time I go to check in, I realized that I didn't have my phone. So with this being said, it's just like, oh man, not going really into panic mode, but I go to the lady at the check-in and I asked to use their phone. I called my mom and I said I left my phone in the car. They come back around probably like 5 to 10 minutes later and they tell me that the phone is not in the car. So at this point, I'm like, yo, what in the world? Where can my phone be? I had an iPhone. Tried to use the find the iPhone app, whatever, and it wasn't showing up. So now at this point, I'm thinking that somebody stole my phone. So after searching and searching and searching, we're looking for probably 45 minutes. And at this point, I probably got 10 to 15 minutes to get to my gate to check in. So I remember my mom asked me one of the most distinct questions that I ever heard in my life. And she asked me, Daryl, what you going to do? Are you going to stay or are you going to go? Seeing that this is like an opportunity of a lifetime, I chucked up the deuces and I turned around and I didn't look back. This is one of the most defining moments in my whole entire life for a couple of reasons. One of the main ones is I didn't know what was going to be on the other side of this journey. 2, I was heading towards the unknown, which is a part of 1. And now 3, I'm in a predicament where I literally have to listen to my gut because everything that I had and how to get to where I was supposed to get to was on my phone. Who I was supposed to get in contact with was on my phone, and I didn't have this main little resource. And I remember going up the escalator and thinking that this is one of the worst decisions that I possibly ever made in my whole entire life. Was to go with this dream that I had of playing overseas basketball. This is one of the worst decisions I've ever made. And the reality really started to set in. And it's cool when you're a couple of weeks away from something and the idea is something, or a couple of months away, but when that starts creeping up and that day starts creeping up, you start to feel differently about it. But at this point, I said, this is like a now or never moment. And I went with it. So I get to my gate and the dude at the front for when you go in to you're checking your boarding pass and all of that, they said that they had my phone and they found it. It turns out that when I got out the car, I left it on top of the car when I got my suitcase and everything, and my mom drove off and my phone was destroyed. So I really didn't have a phone to get to my destination. So in life, in a lot of moments, more often than not, things aren't planned out. You can have a plan, but there's a lot of chances where you can't predict what's going to happen. And the one thing that this all taught me was the importance of being in the moment and being present. So I had 2 layover flights, pretty much connected flights. I had one going from Philly to Boston, from Boston to Portugal, and from Portugal to Spain. And in between this, I told myself, well, not even told myself, something deep down in me was that I shouldn't think too hard about this situation and don't second guess myself, because if I did, I know I was going to have a freaking mental breakdown. No kidding. No exaggeration. I was all alone. I knew it. Like I said, I never left the country before. And at this point, I'm 22 years old. So the only thing that I had with me that I kept reading during this whole entire time was the Bible. And when I got to Barcelona, I remember the city that I was staying in, and I remember the hotel that I was staying in. That was the most important thing. I didn't speak a lick worth of Spanish. And when I got off the plane at Barcelona, this was like real time. Daryl, you have to listen to your gut, and if something tell you to make a left, make a left. If something tell you to make a right, make a right. And eventually, this led me to a bus station, and the city that I was playing in was the very, very last stop. Thank God. Thank God. And everything ended up working out. But I say all of that to say is there's something internal within us all that's a guiding force. And that's also a connecting force for our life, our whole entire life. Something deep down within us knows the whole entire picture. But we must, at the same time, having a true sense of faith, walk in that calling. Because that's what that thing deep down inside of us is, that know that bigger picture is that calling. And the treasures that we are searching for is not going to be found outside of us. And in that exact moment, and during that even period in my life of playing basketball, I was seeking outside validation, which played a huge part in a lot of my decision making, especially, for example, playing basketball. So there's a verse in here that I would like to read from the Bible, and it comes from chapter 12, verse 34. And it says, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." A lot of us don't have an intimate relationship with what's going on within our heart. And a lot of things that is produced in our outward life is coming based off of what's happening inside of our heart. If you're present within yourself, what's in your heart will get revealed slowly but surely. And at the same time, you will get carried through life in such a mysterious way. And you're going to see that at the same time within your physical body that there's a twofold nature of what's going on. It's also spiritual as well. And there's a pattern that goes on with life. There's a book by Paulo Coelho called The Alchemist. And the story is crazy. And I don't mean to spoil you the story for you guys, but this kid Santiago is the main character. He goes on this wild journey from being a shepherd to being a merchant to being in oasis in Egypt to go search for this treasure in Egypt. And when he has this dream of the Great Pyramids, and supposedly that's where his treasure is. And it turns out that his treasure is where he started all along. All along. But he had to go on that way in order to figure that out. So even though the treasure is within you, you still have a life to live to bring that treasure out. It's a form of expression also that's going to come out of this. And it's also a blessing for you. And the really true treasure is not only going to be a blessing for you, but it's going to be a blessing for the people around you and that next person waiting that's going to also continue on with the personal legend. Every last one of us carries that within us. So I want to encourage you guys that even though you may not know, even though you seem like you're lost right now and you can't find your way, listen to that deep inner calling that's pulling you in a certain direction, even though you're not necessarily going to know how it's going to turn out. You're going to be fine. And the true treasure is within you. It's within your body. It's within your soul. And it comes from the Spirit of God. That's what I got to share with you guys today. And I hope this little bit is helpful. If you guys want to hear more from me, listen to the Purpose Served podcast. We have 100 episodes, 100 plus episodes in. And if you want to talk to me directly, just email me and tell me what you guys think in the comments about their personal legend. I'm out of here.